Rudy Giuliani, he's President Trump's attorney. He's building a report to counter and question the legitimacy of Robert Mueller's Russia probe, also present any countervailing arguments about and any possible conflicts among federal investigators, including whether, quote, the initiation of the Mueller probe was legitimate or not. Let's bring in Harvard law professor, and he is the author of the blockbuster book, The Case Against Impeaching Trump. He's Alan Dershowitz. Great to see you, Alan.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We've never seen anything like this. What's your take on what's going on?
Well, I think it's exactly the right thing. We live in an adversarial system. The Mueller probe has only heard one side of the story. Remember, grand juries don't invite exculpatory witnesses to come in. They only hear one side of the story. And in an adversarial system, both sides of the story have to be heard. So I think it's a good thing for America. It's a good thing for justice. It's a good thing for truth, for the Trump team to be pairing their side of the story. And then the American public can judge by reading the Mueller report and reading the report by Trump. The problem with the Mueller report is it's illegal for Mueller to disclose grand jury testimony. And so he's going to have to write a report either without disclosing what he heard in the grand jury or his prosecutors heard in the grand jury, or he's going to have to get special permission from the court to disclose this material. And the reason we don't permit disclosure of grand jury material is because it's always one-sided. Lawyers are not allowed to be there except prosecutors. And so it would be unfair to rely on what went on in a grand jury as the whole truth.
Now, here's the thing. You know, the pushback's going to be, and you know it's coming, is that the White House is trying to undermine the institutions of the U.S. democracy. Your take on that?
Oh, exactly the opposite. The institutions of democracy require an adversarial system. You can't have democracy when you present just one side.
But you don't like the special counsel. You think the special counsel.
But even if
yeah, go ahead.
I don't approve of special counsels. I didn't approve of it when Clinton had a special prosecutor. I don't approve of it now. But even if I approved of it, even if this was an ordinary prosecutor, it's not undermining democracy to challenge the legitimacy or to challenge the coverage of how well it was done or to challenge the truth of what's in the report. That's the essence of democracy. It would be exactly the opposite of democracy if the people just believed what one side said. For example, you hear on television now, people are calling Trump an unindicted co-conspirator. Totally false. A, there's been no indictment that even mentions or refers to Trump. It was an information, not an indictment against Cohn. And second, what Cohn has said in his allocution is inadmissible in any court. It's hearsay. So, you know, we hear one side all the time from Mueller, and now it's time to hear the other side. Maybe Mueller will be more persuasive. Maybe Giuliani will be more persuasive. It's a clash of adversaries. That's the way the system should work.
Do you think the Mueller probe is illegitimate?
No, I don't think it's illegitimate. I'm not on the side of those who think it's unlawful. There are some very, very respectable scholars who believe that, and I think they make a plausible case. But on balance, I think it's lawful. I just think it's ill-advised. And I think that everything that's been investigated could have been done through the Southern District, through the Inspector General, through existing institutions. You don't need special counsel.
You know, Giuliani's report could be 100 pages plus. We'll take a wait and see on that. Let's get to this story. Republicans now criticizing President Trump's comments at a rally last night in Indiana, where the president openly called for the DOJ and the FBI to investigate his political rivals. Let's take a look.
But our Justice Department and our FBI have to start doing their job and doing it right and doing it now. Because people are angry. What's happening is a disgrace. And at some point, I wanted to stay out, but at some point, if it doesn't straighten out properly, I want them to do their job. I will get involved, and I'll get in there if I have to. You can have the biggest story about Hillary Clinton. I mean, look at what she's getting away with, but let's see if she gets away with it. Let's see.
Okay, Alan, Republicans are criticizing these comments, saying if Hillary or Obama made those same comments, they'd be blasted for it. Your take on that?
Well, I don't like the president seeking to criminalize the conduct of Hillary Clinton. You know, if Hillary Clinton had been elected president and they were trying to impeach her investigator, I'd have written the same book called The Case Against Impeaching Clinton. I think it's a mistake, tactically, legally, professionally, morally, to try to attack one's enemies by making crimes out of political differences. So I'm very much against efforts to try to criminalize the conduct of Hillary
it's not
Clinton,
political
just as I'm
differences.
against the efforts.
It's about the emails, right? So that's what the president, I think, is referring to, the Clinton Foundation.
Of course, and the people on the other side say it's about things that Trump may have done. Each side is trying to weaponize the criminal justice system to use against their political opponents.
That's the point,
I want
yeah.
disarmament. I want to see no criminalization except if the evidence is overwhelming that a clear crime occurred. Hillary Clinton was cleared by the Justice Department. Her clearing may have cost her the election, but she was cleared, and I would not reopen any investigations of Hillary Clinton.
Alan Dershowitz, we love having you on, and please buy Alan's book. He's a great writer. Good to see you, sir.